Here's the truth. You could be doing everything right, making good money, investing what you can, and still watch your net worth go nowhere. It's not the big, obvious mistakes draining your accounts. It's the quiet ones, the daily habits that feel so harmless you don't even notice them. I watched my own finances plateau for years before I finally identified these 7 silent wealth killers. By the end of this, you'll see exactly where your money is disappearing and exactly how to stop it.
The problem with small leaks. We're wired to focus on the big expenses, the car repair, the vacation, the emergency. But that's not what's holding you back. It's the death by 1,000 cuts, the "it's just $5" mentality that creates a massive financial hole over time. Let's do the math. $5 a day feels like nothing, but that's $150 a month. Over a year, that's $1,825. Now, invest that instead at a 7% return. That's over $25,000 in 10 years. Gone because of $5 a day. Your brain discounts these small amounts. It tells you it's insignificant. But that's the trap. These leaks are automatic, recurring, and invisible on your mental radar. You track the big stuff. You feel the pain of a large purchase, but you don't feel the $30 subscription fee that's been draining your account for 2 years. You don't feel the extra $10 for delivery instead of pickup. The real cost isn't just the money spent. It's the opportunity cost. It's the future wealth that money could have built. It's the compound growth you're sacrificing for convenience, for habit, for a momentary lack of awareness. Most people are drowning in a pool they filled one drop at a time, and they never even heard the splash. That ends today.
Habit 1. The subscription trap. And that brings us to the first and most common silent wealth killer, the subscription trap. This is the slow creep of monthly recurring charges that you forget you even have. It's the gym membership you haven't used in 6 months, the streaming service you only turn on once a month, the software subscription for a tool you tried once and abandoned. Here's the problem. Once these charges are on autopay, they become invisible. They're out of sight, out of mind. Your brain stops registering them as an active expense. It's just background noise in your budget, and that's exactly how they get you. You think, it's only $15, but you never add them all up. Let me give you an example from my own life. A few years ago, I did a deep dive into my bank statements. I found a subscription for a project management app I hadn't opened in over a year, another for a premium news site I'd signed up for during a free trial and completely forgotten about, a third for a meal kit service I'd canceled but was still being charged for because I'd done it wrong. These 3 small subscriptions were costing me over $80 a month. That's nearly $1,000 a year I was literally throwing away for no benefit whatsoever. It hit me like a truck. The psychology here is brutal. Companies bank on your inertia. They make it incredibly easy to sign up and incredibly difficult to cancel. They offer a low monthly fee that feels painless, knowing that over time, with enough subscribers, those small fees add up to massive profits for them and massive losses for you. So here's your action framework. The quarterly subscription audit. You need to do this 4 times a year. It takes 10 minutes. Go through your bank and credit card statements line by line. For every single recurring charge, ask yourself one question. Did I get more than this fee's worth of value from this in the last 3 months? If the answer is no, you cancel it immediately. Not tomorrow, right now. The common mistake is thinking you'll use it again someday. That's a fantasy. You are paying a monthly tax on a future version of yourself that probably won't exist. Be ruthless. If you haven't used it, cut it. You can always resubscribe if you genuinely need it later. I promise you, the moment you cancel that unused subscription, you'll feel a surge of control. You're not just saving money, you're taking back your financial attention. You're deciding where your money goes instead of letting it silently slip away. Now, you might be thinking, your subscriptions aren't that bad. But do the math. The average person has about 12 subscription services. If just 3 of those are wasted, that's easily $50 a month, $600 a year. Invested over a decade, that's a down payment on a car. That's the power of stopping the leak. It's not about deprivation, it's about intention. It's about ensuring every dollar you spend is actually working for you, not against you. This one habit alone can uncover hundreds, even thousands of dollars you're currently wasting without a second thought. Habit 2. Convenience tax addiction. And that brings us to the second silent wealth killer, and it's one that's exploded in the last few years. Convenience tax addiction. This is the money you pay not for a product, but for the privilege of getting it now with zero effort. Food delivery fees that double the cost of your meal. Premium shipping because you can't wait 3 days. Paying a markup for the grocery store down the street instead of driving 5 minutes to the cheaper one. Here's the problem. We've been sold a lie that our time is so incredibly valuable that any convenience is worth the price. But let's be honest, are you really using that saved 20 minutes to work on your side hustle? Or are you just scrolling on your phone? You're not trading money for productive time, you're trading money for laziness. And that trade has a brutal compounding effect. The psychology is simple. Instant gratification. You want the food, you get the food. You want the item, you get it tomorrow. The pain of paying is separated from the pleasure of receiving by fees and time delays, so your brain barely registers the cost. It feels like a small tax for a big reward. But those taxes add up faster than you can imagine. Let me give you an example. A coffee from a shop costs around $5. Making it at home costs about 50 cents. The difference is $4.50. If you buy coffee 5 days a week, that's $22.50 a week. Over a year, that's over $1,100 for coffee. Now apply that to food delivery. A $30 meal becomes $45 with fees and tip. Do that twice a week, and you're spending an extra $1,500 a year on convenience. That's not a tax, that's a financial hemorrhage. The common mistake is miscalculating the value of your time. People say, my time is worth $50 an hour, so saving 30 minutes is worth $25. But that's fantasy math. You aren't getting a check for that saved time. That time is usually wasted. You need to value your free time at your actual after-tax hourly rate for the work you'd actually be doing. For most people, that's a much lower number, and it makes the convenience fee look like a terrible deal. So here's your action framework. The 24-hour rule for convenience purchases. Anytime you're about to pay a premium for speed or ease, like delivery, expedited shipping, or a higher-priced item for immediate access, you force yourself to wait 24 hours. Not think about it, wait. Do not complete the purchase. Here's what usually happens. The urgency fades. You realize you can pick up the food yourself on the way home and save $20. You realize you don't actually need the item tomorrow. Standard shipping is fine. This rule breaks the emotional, impulsive part of your brain and lets the logical part catch up. It forces you to ask, is this convenience actually worth the real, tangible cost? The goal isn't to eliminate all convenience. It's to be intentional. Sometimes paying for delivery when you're sick or exhausted is a valid choice. But when it becomes the default, you're no longer making a choice. You're following a costly habit. You're normalizing a tax on your future wealth. Think about that for a second. The money you save by skipping just one delivery fee per week could be the extra payment that maxes out your IRA contribution at the end of the year. That's the difference. You're choosing between a momentary ease and a fundamental upgrade to your financial future. This habit is about recognizing that every dollar spent on a tax is a dollar not working for you. It's a dollar that could be compounding, growing, and building real security instead of funding a fleeting moment of laziness. Stop renting your attention and your money to the convenience economy. Start owning your time and your decisions. The feeling of control you get from saying no to that fee is more satisfying than any delivered meal will ever be. Habit 3, lifestyle creep normalization. Here's where things get really dangerous because this habit feels like progress when it's actually regression. Lifestyle creep normalization. This is what happens every time you get a raise, a bonus, or any extra income, and your brain immediately starts finding ways to spend it. You upgrade your apartment, you lease a nicer car, you start eating at more expensive restaurants. You're not getting richer, you're just raising your monthly burn rate. You're moving the finish line further away every time you get closer. The psychology is brutal. You work hard, you achieve something, and you feel like you deserve a reward. That "I deserve this" justification is the most expensive sentence in the English language. It's a trap that keeps you on the hamster wheel, working harder and harder just to maintain a more expensive version of the same life instead of building actual wealth and freedom. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine got a $10,000 annual raise. After taxes, that was about $500 more per month. His immediate thought? Now I can finally get the luxury apartment I've been wanting, which would cost exactly $500 more per month. He traded a permanent increase in his most valuable asset, his income, for a temporary upgrade to his lifestyle. He didn't get richer, he just got more expensive. He's still one paycheck away from disaster, just with nicer countertops. Meanwhile, here's what happens when you bank half of every raise. That same $500 monthly raise becomes $250 towards lifestyle and $250 towards wealth building. In 5 years, that $250 a month invested becomes over $17,000. In 10 years, it's over $40,000. That's a down payment, that's financial breathing room, that's the ability to take a risk on a new career. Lifestyle creep trades all of that future security for a slightly better present. The common mistake is matching your spending increases directly to your income increases. You feel like you've made it, so you start acting like it. But the goal isn't to look rich, it's to be rich. And the path to being rich is keeping your core living expenses as low as possible for as long as possible, so every extra dollar can go to work building your net worth. So here's your action framework, the 50% rule for new income. Anytime you get new money, a raise, a bonus, a side hustle payment, the default is to automatically allocate 50% of it to wealth building. Invest it, pay down debt, put it in a high-yield savings account. The other 50% you can use for lifestyle or fun. This isn't about being a miser, it's about balance. It forces you to enjoy your success without mortgaging your future. It makes upgrading your life a conscious choice, not an automatic reflex. This rule does two things. First, it ensures your wealth actually grows with your income. Second, it slows down the spending impulse. When you know half of that bonus is already spoken for, you're forced to be more thoughtful about how you use the other half. You start asking, is this upgrade really worth it? Instead of just spending because the money is there. Think about that for a second. The difference between someone who falls for lifestyle creep and someone who doesn't is massive. Over a 20-year career, one person has a slightly nicer car and slightly nicer vacations. The other person has financial independence. They have options. They have security. They built an asset base that works for them 24/7. That's the choice you're making every time you get more money. Are you going to use it to build a more expensive prison, or are you going to use it to buy your freedom? Lifestyle creep is the silent killer of millionaires. It keeps you playing a game you can never win because the goalposts keep moving. Stop normalizing a more expensive life. Start normalizing a wealthier one. Your future self will thank you for the restraint.
Habit 4, financial avoidance behavior. Now we get to the habit that enables all the others, financial avoidance behavior. This is the "I don't want to know" reflex. It's the feeling of dread when you think about checking your bank account. It's leaving credit card statements unopened. It's the active decision to stay in the dark about your own financial reality because you're afraid of what you might find. Here's the truth. Avoidance isn't a neutral act. It's an expensive one. It's the equivalent of driving your car with a blindfold on because you're scared you might see the check engine light. You're not avoiding a problem, you're guaranteeing it gets worse. The fear of facing a number is nothing compared to the cost of ignoring a leak that's been draining your account for months. Let me give you an example. A colleague of mine avoided looking at her statements for almost a year. She had a vague feeling she was spending too much, but she didn't want the confirmation. When she finally forced herself to look, she found a fraudulent charge for $50 a month from a streaming service she'd never heard of. She'd been paying for it for 10 months. That's $500, gone. But the real cost was even higher. Her avoidance had allowed a small problem to become a significant loss.
It had also created a cloud of anxiety that hung over her for that entire year. The mental tax of avoidance is often heavier than the financial one. The psychology is rooted in shame and fear. We associate looking at our money with judgment of ourselves for not being better, for making mistakes, so we avoid the source of that judgment. But here's the kicker. The money is still leaving your account. The problem is still happening. You're just choosing not to see it. You're paying a tax of ignorance, and it's the most pointless tax of all. So here's your action framework. The 10-minute weekly money date. This is non-negotiable. Every Sunday night or Monday morning, you block 10 minutes on your calendar. You open your banking app, your credit card app, and your investment accounts. You don't need to do a deep analysis. You're just looking. You're scanning for anything unusual. You're acknowledging the numbers. That's it. 10 minutes. No judgment, just observation. The common mistake is thinking you need to have a 2-hour budgeting session that feels like a punishment. That's why you avoid it. This is the opposite. This is a quick, painless check-in. It's like brushing your teeth for your finances. You're not performing surgery. You're just maintaining basic hygiene. This habit removes the fear by making the act familiar and routine. After a few weeks, the dread disappears. It just becomes something you do. Think about that for a second. What could you catch in 10 minutes? A subscription you forgot to cancel? A double charge from a merchant? A fraudulent transaction? Catching any one of these early saves you real money. But more importantly, it gives you a sense of control. You're no longer a passenger in your financial life. You're the driver. You're aware. You're present. That shift in mindset from avoidance to engagement is more valuable than any single dollar you save. This habit is the foundation for everything else. You can't fix a leak you refuse to see. You can't build wealth on a foundation of fear. The weekly money date is your way of saying, I am in charge here. It's you facing the numbers, not as a judgment, but as data. Data you can use to make smarter decisions. The moment you turn the lights on, the monsters disappear. They're just numbers, and you can handle numbers. Stop letting the fear of a bad number cost you good money. Your net worth isn't built in the shadows, it's built in the light of honest awareness. Take back control. It only takes 10 minutes a week.
Habit 5. The loyalty penalty. And that brings us to a habit that feels virtuous, but is actually one of the most expensive. The loyalty penalty. This is the cost of staying with a service provider, your insurance company, your cable provider, your bank, out of sheer inertia or a misplaced sense of loyalty. You assume that because you've been a customer for years, you're getting a good deal. Here's the truth. You're almost certainly getting the worst deal. Companies profit from your complacency. They reward new customers with discounts and quietly raise rates on existing ones, betting you won't notice or won't bother to switch. The psychology is simple. It's a hassle to change. It feels disloyal. You tell yourself, they've been good to me, when in reality, it's a transactional relationship. Your loyalty is a one-way street. They are not loyal to you. They are loyal to their profit margins. And your inaction is costing you hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars every single year. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine had been with the same auto insurance company for 8 years. His rates crept up a little each year, and he just accepted it as the cost of doing business. I finally convinced him to spend 20 minutes getting a few online quotes. The result was staggering. A competitor offered him the exact same coverage for $800 less per year. $800 for a 20-minute phone call. He was essentially paying an $800 annual fee for the privilege of not having to make a phone call. That's the loyalty penalty in action. The common mistake is thinking that loyalty is rewarded in business. It's not. In most industries, new customer acquisition is expensive, so companies offer juicy incentives to get you in the door. Once you're locked in, the incentives disappear and the slow price increases begin. They know the barrier to switching is high, so they test how much they can charge you before you finally leave. You are not a valued partner. You are a revenue stream they are trying to maximize. So here's your action framework. The annual provider negotiation day. Once a year, you block out 1 hour, you make a list of your 3 biggest recurring service bills: insurance, car, home, renters, internet, cable, and cell phone. For each one, you do 2 things.
First, you research competitors and get at least 2 new quotes. Second, you call your current provider, quote in hand, and ask them to match it. You say, I've been a customer for X years, and I've just received an offer for, quote amount, from competitor. I'd prefer to stay with you, but I need you to match this price to make that possible. Here's what usually happens. About 70% of the time, they'll match it or come very close. They had retention departments whose entire job is to keep you from leaving. The other 30% of the time, they'll say no. And that's your signal to switch. You are not being disloyal, you are being fiscally responsible. You are refusing to pay a laziness tax. Think about that for a second. The cumulative effect of this one habit is enormous. Saving $800 on insurance, $200 on your phone bill, and $100 on your internet bill adds up to over $1,300 a year. Invested over a decade, that's over $20,000 for 1 hour of work per year. That's an hourly rate of $1,300. You will never find a better return on your time. This habit is about shifting your identity from a passive consumer to an active owner of your financial life. Loyalty is earned, not given. A company earns your loyalty by providing consistent value and competitive pricing. When they stop doing that, your loyalty should end. Stop rewarding companies for taking advantage of you. Start demanding the same value they give to new customers. Your net worth isn't built on grand gestures. It's built on consistently refusing to be overcharged. The loyalty penalty is a choice. Choose to stop paying it.
Habit 6. Social spending compliance. Now let's talk about the habit that feels the most personal and is often the hardest to break. Social spending compliance. This is the money you spend not because you want to, but because you feel you have to. It's saying yes to the expensive dinner, the weekend trip, the concert tickets, because everyone else is going and you're afraid of missing out. You're afraid of being the one who says no. You're trading your financial health for social approval, and it's a terrible trade. Here's the problem. Peer pressure doesn't end in high school. It just gets more expensive. You're an adult with bills and goals, but you're still making financial decisions based on what other people might think. The cost of maintaining appearances can quietly drain your accounts faster than any subscription. You go out to keep up. You order the same expensive drinks. You split the bill evenly when you only had a salad. It adds up, and it adds up fast. Let me give you an example. A group dinner where your share is $70. You could have had a great night at home or with one friend for $15. The difference is $55. Do that just twice a month, and you're looking at over $1,300 a year. That's money that could be building your future, spent on the fear of being left out. The FOMO is real, but the financial hangover is worse. The common mistake is thinking you have to match your friend's spending to maintain the friendship. That's a weak foundation for any relationship. Real friends will respect your financial goals. The pressure you feel is often coming from you, not them. You're the one creating the story that you'll be judged for being responsible. So here's your action framework. The budget-friendly alternative proposal. Instead of just saying no, which can feel awkward, you lead with a yes, but. You say, that concert sounds amazing, but tickets are a bit steep for me right now. How about we all get together at my place that night instead? I'll make a big pot of chili and we can watch a movie. Or, I'd love to see you, but that restaurant is out of my budget this month. There's a great spot down the street with amazing happy hour deals. Can we do that instead? This does 2 things. First, it shows you value the connection, not just the activity. Second, it often reveals that other people in the group are feeling the same financial strain, but were too afraid to speak up. You become the leader who makes it okay to be financially smart. You're not being cheap, you're being a problem solver. Think about that for a second. The difference between someone who blindly complies and someone who proactively proposes alternatives is thousands of dollars a year. More importantly, it's the difference between friendships built on shared experiences and friendships strained by financial resentment. Stop funding a lifestyle that isn't yours to impress people who probably aren't even paying attention. Your real net worth isn't just your bank account, it's your peace of mind. Choose peace.
Habit 7. The productivity illusion. And the final silent wealth killer is the most insidious because it disguises itself as self-improvement. The productivity illusion. This is the money you spend on tools, courses, apps, and systems that promise to make you more productive, organized, or efficient, and then you never actually use them. You mistake the act of purchasing for the act of progress. You think, if I buy this premium project management software, I'll finally get organized. If I buy this course, I'll finally master that skill. But buying the tool isn't the work. It's just expensive procrastination. Here's the problem. You're outsourcing your motivation to your credit card. You're trying to buy a solution to a discipline problem, and it never works. The excitement of the new tool wears off in a week, and you're left with the same old you, plus a recurring charge or a hefty one-time fee. You've spent money to feel like you're moving forward, when all you've done is move money out of your account. Let me give you an example. I used to do this constantly. I'd see an ad for a new note-taking app that promised to revolutionize my workflow. $90 a year. I'd buy it, spend an afternoon setting it up, feel incredibly productive, and then never open it again. I did the same thing with online courses. I've bought courses on coding, on graphic design, on public speaking. I have hundreds of hours of video sitting in an account unwatched. I was collecting knowledge like baseball cards, thinking ownership was the same as mastery. The total cost of all that unused software and unwatched training? Thousands of dollars. Wasted. The psychology is a powerful mix of hope and avoidance. The hope that this one purchase will be the magic bullet that fixes everything, and the avoidance of the actual difficult, boring work required to build a habit or learn a skill. It's easier to spend money than to spend time and effort. So you do. And your net worth silently shrinks. So here's your action framework. The implementation before investment rule. Before you spend a single dollar on any new tool, course, or system, you must first master the free version or a free alternative. You want a premium project management app? First, use a free tool like Trello or Asana for 3 months. Actually use it. Build the habit of using it every day. If after 90 days you've consistently used it and you've genuinely hit the limits of the free version, then and only then can you consider paying for the upgrade. This rule does 2 things. First, it separates the buyers from the doers. It forces you to prove to yourself that you have the discipline to use the tool before you reward yourself with the premium version. And second, you'll often discover the free tool is more than enough. You never actually needed to spend the money. You just needed to do the work. The common mistake is believing the marketing. You think the paid version will make you a different person. It won't. You are the constant in the equation. A more expensive planner won't make you more organized. Consistent planning habits will. A more expensive course won't make you smarter. Consistent study habits will. Stop trying to buy a new identity. Start building one through action. Think about that for a second. The money you save by implementing before you invest could be the seed capital for your actual goals. That $500 course you didn't buy could be the first investment in your brokerage account. That $30 monthly subscription you avoided could be automatically invested and become $1,000 in a few years. You're choosing between the illusion of progress and the reality of wealth building. Choose reality. Your net worth is built by what you do, not by what you buy. Stop funding the promise of a future version of yourself and start building that person today, for free. The only tool you ever really need is the one between your ears.
The cumulative effect. Now, here's what's really frightening. These habits don't work in isolation. They work together. The subscription trap weakens your financial awareness. The convenience tax addiction normalizes small, thoughtless spending. Lifestyle creep makes it all feel justified. Avoidance ensures you never see the full picture. The loyalty penalty quietly inflates your fixed costs. Social spending pressures you to keep up the charade. And the productivity illusion convinces you you're investing in yourself while you're actually just burning cash. This is a system designed to keep your net worth stagnant. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and each habit is another blade. You might think it's just one subscription or it's just one delivery fee, but add them up. The $50 a month in unused subscriptions, the $100 a month in delivery fees, the $200 a month from lifestyle creep, the $50 a month from loyalty penalties. That's $400 a month. That's $4,800 a year. Invest that at a 7% return, and in 10 years, you've lost out on over $70,000. That's a life-changing amount of money. That's financial freedom you traded for minor conveniences and unconscious habits. The mindset shift you need to make is critical. Stop thinking about this as saving money. That feels like deprivation. Start thinking about it as not wasting money. You're not giving anything up. You're stopping a leak. You're reclaiming capital that is rightfully yours and putting it to work building your future. Fixing these 7 habits is more powerful than any single investment strategy you could implement, because you can have the best investment plan in the world, but if your capital is silently draining away through these leaks, you're just pouring water into a bucket full of holes. Plug the holes first. The compounding will take care of itself.
Immediate action plan. You're probably feeling overwhelmed. Don't be. You don't need to fix all 7 habits today. That's a recipe for failure. You need a system. Here's your immediate action plan. This week, I want you to do one thing: the 7-day habit scan. Take the next 7 days, and each day, you're going to audit one of these areas in your life. Day 1, you do your quarterly subscription audit. Day 2, you review your last month of bank statements for convenience fees. Day 3, you look at your last raise or bonus and see if it led to lifestyle creep. You get the idea. 1 habit per day. Just the audit, just the awareness. Based on that scan, you'll know which habit is bleeding you the most. That's your target. That's the one you tackle first with the specific action framework I gave you. Maybe it's the loyalty penalty, so you block out 1 hour this weekend for your annual provider negotiation day. Maybe it's the subscription trap, so you cancel 3 unused subscriptions right now. The key is to track the money you're no longer wasting. Open a note on your phone or a spreadsheet. When you cancel a subscription, write down the monthly savings. When you negotiate a lower bill, write down the annual savings. Seeing that number grow is rocket fuel. It turns an abstract concept into a tangible win. To prevent relapse, you need to systemize this. Put a recurring quarterly reminder in your calendar for the subscription audit. Put an annual reminder for the provider negotiation. Make the 10-minute weekly money date as non-negotiable as your morning coffee. You're not relying on willpower. You're building a system that runs on autopilot. In 30 days, do another check-in. Look at that note where you're tracking your savings. See how much you've stopped wasting. That's the momentum that will carry you forward to tackle the next habit.
Conclusion and call to action. These habits are silent, but they're not invisible to you anymore. You now see exactly where your money is leaking. The power is back in your hands. Choose 1 habit today, just 1, and implement the framework. Your net worth depends on it. Comment below which of these 7 habits shocked you the most. Subscribe for more tough love financial truth.